Thank you very much. President Cowan, Chairman Berger, distinguished guests, Dr. Gregorian and Dr. White, Mr. Day and Mr. Breeze, faculty, staff, and graduates of the magnificent class of 2014. Senator Vitter, we were in 8th grade together, and Mayor Landrieu, also a trumpet player. Here in New Orleans, we have a tradition of starting an important gig by calling out the names of legendary musicians from the past. In evoking the memory of legendary artists, this roll call inspires a much higher level of performance. In 2007, the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra went on tour with Odada, a group from Ghana led by master drummer Yakub Adi. Each concert started with a long roll call of distinguished ancestors chanted and spoken in their native tongue. At the end of the chant, Mr. Adi would say, "Tra, tra, o manyaba," whereupon we would say, "Yow." Every night we were just waiting to say, "Yow." And the call seemed to get longer and longer. After a few performances, I asked Yakub, "Man, could you shorten this a little bit?" He said, "Yes, brother. Who would you like us to leave out?" Not being able to identify a single name, I said, "Can you just eliminate a few of the less important ones?" He then said, "They're all important to the people who know of them and their deeds. And these concerts are the realization of their dreams." I said, "Yes, Yakub, but our band doesn't know who any of them are, and we can't even identify their names." He then inquired, "Young brother, does your ignorance of them lessen their importance?" Today, each graduate is accompanied by their own personal roll call of family and predecessors whose surnames are known by very few in this audience, but whose ancestral names are known to all of us. Mama, mother, mommy and daddy, father, dad, pap, papa, grandfather, grandmother and grandma. Oh, we have uncles, aunts, cousins, and big sisters and brothers, teachers, counselors, mentors, and coaches, friends. Let us acknowledge all of the members of our collective roll call. Acknowledge them. They're all behind you. They're all behind you. Look at them. Acknowledge them. They're here. Your roll call has marched far and wide to be in your number this morning. To be realized, a dream must at some point become a plan. Now that plan is a directive, a resolution requiring resolve to execute. The dream is free. Let me tell you something, the plan costs time, dedication, imagination, and it almost always involves funding in some way. Paul Tulane donated a substantial sum in 1884 to establish the private university we now enjoy. Your parents have saved, scrimped, and creatively managed for years to get you to this moment. And many of you have also sacrificed with work study, financial aid, and obtaining loans. The distance between a dream and a plan is the promise of work. But let me tell you, that promise is never as difficult as the work itself. From the first hopeful dimes saved for your education, to the nerve-wracking rigmarole of admission and rejection, to the satisfied anxiety of this very moment, working that plan has required the resolution to see things through. And though you all have put in some serious work at the boot and at the palms, oh yeah, and I know that you toil daily with the gastronomic challenges of Bruff, there's absolutely no way you could have known that midterms would fall smack in the middle of Mardi Gras, or that the mere mentioning of Howard Tilton will cause you to Jones for coffee. Now, there will be no more battle-like frenzy to register for your preferred classes. No more asking B-school kids to swipe you into the building at night. No more feverish chills sweating through the shakes of finals week. You are here today despite the myriad challenges that made you want to quit, turn around, made you want to go home. You are here because of your resolution to finish. I remember being in New York City at 17. I was a freshman in college, broke. I went to the vaunted jazz club, the Village Vanguard, to sit in with the celebrated Mel Lewis Orchestra. Oh, Mel waited a long time. He called me up at 1:30 a.m. on the last tune. Everybody was saying, man, there's this boy from New Orleans that's gonna come up here who really can play. All the musicians were waiting to hear me. That tune was a shuffle in D-flat minor. I couldn't play in that key to save my life. I sounded terrible. Afterwards, all the cats in the band were putting their horns away. They turned away from me as if not being able to play was contagious. I was so ashamed, I wanted to come back home. About 3 a.m. that morning, I called my father. I was depressed. I said, man, this is what happened. I said, what you think I should do? He said, well, bro, when you get up tomorrow, start practicing in D-flat minor. You know, sometimes it is the resolution of a parent or donor, staff, counselor, or friend that has given you the strength to conquer this trial of intellect, finance, social fun, and folly. And the diplomas that are conferred today are also resolutions. Let it be known that you who have earned them have survived this rite of passage and have duly demonstrated the determination, dedication, and the endurance to join the elite ranks of college graduates. You know, all the dreaming and planning in the world is virtually meaningless without execution. The every day of classes, testing papers, deadlines, and have-to-dos, they've defined a large portion of your experience here. Or you may have enjoyed Fried Chicken Wednesday. I know you partied on Thursdays at F&M's. And I know you enjoyed eating a good free food and groove to the bands on Friday at the Quad. But you know what? Anybody can party. Doesn't take anything to groove to a band, and it's surely easy to eat good food. Graduating is an achievement. The pursuit of something worthwhile requires endless repetitions of tasks until their execution becomes muscle memory. And you, before us, have spent hours and hours in the woodshed, and for that, we salute you. New Orleans native and genius of gospel music, Mahalia Jackson, sang a song, "I'm gonna live the life I sing about in my song." Well, your life is your song. And though you have successfully lived the life of a student who is now a graduate, you deserve to celebrate, but don't rest. The world is a cauldron of action. In January 2006, at the reopening of Tulane after Hurricane Katrina, I was given the honor of addressing returning students. At that time, I said education's purpose is to lead students to who they are, what they can be, and who they want to be. That's what I said. But you know, the best way to be is to do. And when we, as teachers, passed on the best of what we do, that is quality education. And to do, we must pursue. The great drummer Elvin Jones, who fueled John Coltrane's classic quartet in the 1960s, used to say, "We endeavors to pursue." And your families have endeavored to support and love you, and your teachers have endeavored to educate and encourage you, and counselors and mentors have endeavored to protect and guide you, and your friends have endeavored to embrace, corrupt, and entertain you. And you have pursued the goals of each to a magnificent conclusion. For that, we applaud you. And of course, New Orleans is the home of soul. So each of our graduates has been baptized, sin-dipped, and bathed in that ephemeral but oh so real feeling. Soul is a unique quality that animates all spaces with the relaxed intensity of encompassing love, served with heaping generosity of spirit. This is a time for celebration, yes, but it is also a time for you to demonstrate gratitude, a time for genuflection, and a time for prayer. An elevated moment ripe for you, our graduates, to give thanks for having attained some portion of the dream that many in your roll call had for you before you could crawl. But also it's the time for us in that roll call to thank you, because your hard work and achievement has answered our prayers. The pride and swelling sense of accomplishment you feel is also shared by us. And in this elevated moment, swathed in the glory of achievement and the regalia of academic distinction, I want you to please pause to receive our prayers and thanks with grace and humility by recognizing your family, teachers, mentors, and friends. Give further thanks for all the obstacles and tribulations that made you reach deeper to raise yourself higher, even as you recognize and appreciate all of the advantages and incentives that have allowed you to float above the turmoil and chaos that have destroyed the aspirations of many. And finally, we've done it already, but we can never do it enough. Let us all, distinguished guests, students, family, faculty, staff, mentors, friends, and citizens, let us acknowledge our leader and our mentor, our advocate, cheerleader, benefactor, and chief strategist, the keeper, defender, and kindler of the flame of Tulane University. This man showed the nation and the world the true meaning of leadership. This is nothing to walk past. It's something to stand in for a little while and look at and watch and absorb into yourself. Because a nation as large as ours requires leadership. In facing down the greatest natural disaster to ever befall an American city, he led this university and the education system of New Orleans to greater and greater heights. In 2005, he told students who questioned returning to this devastated city, he said, "Don't come back here if helping restore New Orleans is not in your DNA." 91% of Tulane returned. He understood that New Orleans herself was the world's greatest classroom, and he tore down the walls of the academy to give students the opportunity through community service to use their brains, industry, and enthusiasm in reviving our ravaged city. And they responded with stellar results as you continue to respond even now. You are all a testament to that truth, a testament to his truth. So let us not move on from this moment until we properly recognize his creative insights and powers of persuasion in leading this institution on campaign after successful campaign to renovate existing facilities and build new ones, to safeguard our financial stability, to elevate our academic and research capabilities, and to reorganize and restructure our schools into a more efficient ensemble. He has lived his most sacred belief. It's hard to live your belief. Many challenges to living what you think. It's difficult to be an exemplar of what comes out of your mouth. Words are easy to speak. To be is very different. His most sacred belief is a university is its students. So let us acclaim the unprecedented growth and quality of this student body before us. And let us all ride the skyrocketing morale of everyone associated with this great university as a result of his tenure. When I accepted his offer to speak to you today, his last commencement as president, because I'm afraid to fly, I didn't want to drive 20 hours in between two gigs. When I heard his voice, I said, man, I got to go down there. So deep is my respect and admiration for this man and what he has achieved, and his integrity. That's a word that seems to be lost in our nation. A person of integrity is to be celebrated with a greater intensity than we can imagine. He had one stipulation for me. He said, man, please don't say anything about me. This is for the students. They have done all the work. I said, oh, I'm not going to say nothing about you. Here's the point that I want to conclude with. You are what he has worked tirelessly and passionately to manifest. To celebrate him is to celebrate you. So let's finally acknowledge that his resolution in pursuing a trailblazing, ascendant course for this university for the past 16 years has created a revolution that is all around us and all up in us in this dome this morning. He has been a blessing for us all, just as you graduates are a blessing for us all and a blessing for him. Let's rise and give a here. Congratulations to you all. Job well done. Retiring President Scott Cowan.
You know, I had one wish for this commencement, and that is that it would be something that would be memorable to all of you. Because I never remembered my college graduation. But I want you to remember yours. And what you just witnessed with Wynton, Michael, both the spoken word and the music, sheer genius. Sheer genius. And it is true. I wrote Wynton and said to him, I only have one wish for myself for this graduation, and that is that you come and speak to our graduates, and if you desire to play the wonderful horn. The reason is I wanted you to have this as a lasting memory in your mind about New Orleans, what it means to all of us, and what I know it means to you. And by bearing witness to what you just heard and what you just saw, I am comfortable that New Orleans is now officially part of your DNA. Wynton, thank you. Let's have it for Wynton Marsalis. It's interesting. My next line is, a great teacher inspires greatness. Just look at Danny Barker and the many remarkable musicians he taught to recognize, trust, and respect and express their own unique voices. The lessons taught in Fairview Baptist Church Brass Band continue through the glorious sounds of trumpeter Leroy Jones, drummer Shannon Powell, Anthony Tuba Fats Layson, the Dirty Dozen Brass Band, and two of today's honored guests, Wynton Marsalis and Dr. Michael White.